Welcome back. We are so lucky to have Pete Thomas here. Biggest Loser winner, author, Lose It Fast, Lose It
Forever.
I love it. Lose it fast, lose it forever. Speaker, wellness,
Yes,
really spokesperson
Yes,
for a
ma'am.
lot of different companies that really want to get their employees to make that connection.
Absolutely. It's so essential for employees to get the message that their employer wants them healthy, not just because premiums will be lowered, but so that you can be a better employee. You can be more productive. You can earn more money. It's absolutely essential. And
I
health
used to say,
companies
you
do
know,
that.
some days you call in fat.
That's a good one. I'm gonna have to steal
When I
that
had a
one.
bad week, I'm
Call
calling
in
in
fat. I like that.
Which they do, that you do lose
That's
productivity
right.
for all the things
You absolutely
associated
do.
with having health problems.
You're right.
Okay, so how did old Pete
Yes.
used to eat?
You know, I call the old Pete, I call him Big Sexy.
Big Sexy.
Because it took a
Big
lot
Sexy.
of work to maintain that big sexy figure. All right, so that's Big Sexy. And basically what I would do is I would go to KFC and I would have 4 slices of fried chicken, 4 pieces of fried chicken and a biscuit. And then of course I'm having a pop.
Just one biscuit?
Just one biscuit, but you know, I wouldn't want it to be healthy, so I might squeeze in a diet pop. You know what I mean? But 4 pieces of chicken and a biscuit. And
Okay.
so after coming from the show, what I realized was, one, I needed to keep the weight off for 5 years. And so how was I going to do this? I had to develop a way of eating that would work in any environment. And so what I've come up with is what's called the 3 Fs. And so I have 3 Fs at every single meal.
Okay.
Every single meal. So you start off with a fluid.
A fluid.
And so the fluid's going to be a water, maybe a sparkling water, or a diet soda. All
Okay.
right, that's my fluid. And then I'm going to have a filler. The filler is going to be my vegetables or a good salad.
It's got to be kind of a lot of water in that
A lot of
actual
it.
filler so you can have,
Exactly right.
honestly, green beans are
Yes.
my secret weapon.
Exactly. So you have to have a lot of, this is my filler, the main thing. And then, then comes the feast, the thing that I kind of really want to eat. So if you notice, I've gone from 4 pieces of chicken and a biscuit to really having filler, feast, and the fluid. And so now I'm having more food than I had there. However, it's lower in total calories. And so that has been the big key to my success.
You do kind of have a volume approach.
Volume approach,
Okay,
absolutely.
'cause-
And one of the things is when people, when they go on a diet, they want the common complaint, especially if you listen to common methodology of cutting portion size. People always say, well, I'm always hungry, and you're ready to ditch the diet. The problem with the whole portion size approach is we know it's not 100% true. For instance, a bottle of pop, if this were a bottle of pop, this would be somewhere around 300 or 400 calories. But a bottle of sparkling water, regular water, is 0 calories. So it's not just the portion size, but the number of calories in the portion.
Now, and this is why one reason why some people do a little bit better on an Atkins, or if there's something that you can eat without having to, oh, I can just have the thumb
Yes,
size, I can just have the
exactly,
tiny CD
exactly
size.
right.
You need something in your
need
diet that
something.
you can, okay, I'm going to eat these green beans.
Absolutely, of course.
Until I don't want to
That's
anymore.
right. Well, and part of it is that our stomach has certain triggers, and so there's a fullness trigger. When your stomach gets us to a certain level of fullness, certain hormones are released. So you need to fill that up. Especially I'm 6'5". I'm not going to be eating buckwheat. You know what I mean? It's just going to happen. Now, one of the other simple changes you can make is how we prepare the food. So again, I mentioned having the 4 pieces of fried chicken. A simple progression would be simply having 4 pieces of baked chicken. You know, that's going to save you tons of calories. If you can take the skin off, that'll save you some calories, because really the way that I used to mess food up is in the preparation. If I'm going to have cauliflower, I wouldn't have cauliflower, I'd have it with cheese all over the place.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? And so any type of, what I call it is modification, not starvation. Anytime you're modifying something instead of just trying to eliminate an entire food group, that's going to be helpful. You know, I did Atkins and loved Atkins. The problem was the holidays came around and I had to have some sweets. You know what I mean?
Right,
Naturally.
right.
So
Well,
I teach modify.
I do enjoy controlled carb, but I tell you,
Yes.
if you do something so drastic, what happens is what you're talking about
Absolutely.
is, I call it a carbgasm.
Absolutely.
Right?
Wait, say that again.
Carbgasm.
That's
That's when you're in. That is when you're in the car eating frosting out of a can and moaning because you haven't had a carb for weeks.
You're treating that,
You're like,
you're treating that
"Ooh,
ice
it's a
cream
carb."
like it's a relationship.
I
Ah,
love
baby,
you.
yes, I
You
got
know
it.
something's out of balance
That's
when
right.
that is happening. And it's happened. I'm not
Absolutely.
making it up. It's
Absolutely.
the truth. So you got to
Yeah.
avoid the carbgasm by being smart.
Carbgasm. I
Yes,
love it.
right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally agree about, you know,
Yeah.
just, you know, you can't eliminate, you got to
No.
control.
Absolutely. And that was one of the big things. Anytime I realized I struggled, that's also my issue when you hear about certain diet plans, they have a cheat day. Well, my cheat day would turn into a cheat weekend, would turn into a
yeah.
cheat week. So by this approach, fluid, filler, and feast, and the other thing that goes along with it, I believe we all have a personal daily fuel goal. So I think of calories or the amount of food that I need in terms of fuel. The reason being we can relate cars to fuel. We know how much fuel our car requires. You need to know how much fuel your body requires.
How do you know that? What's,
It's called BMR,
That's what you pay
basal
attention to.
metabolic rate. You can go on my website at PeteThomas.com. We've got calculators up there. But if you look up basal metabolic rate, you can figure out the number of the amount of fuel you require per day. As long as you don't go over that amount, you won't gain weight. And if you go under a little bit, you begin to lose weight. But here's the bigger key is you can really start to schedule in some of those favorite foods on a daily basis. If you want to have, some healthy chips, say healthier chips, say some pop chips or something like that, you can save them for later in the day instead of waiting for the weekend. Because when I was at my largest, I remember doing a program called Body for Life. And I did Body for Life.
Veggie.
Yeah, well, it was veggie and it was eat 8 times a day and all of that. And then you had a cheat day. And my cheat day, I would go over to the nearest Uno's Pizzeria and I'd have my own deep dish pizza. Well,
Big Sexy's Pizza, stay
exactly
away.
right. Don't get away, back up. And so that would turn into a pizza-gasm or something. You know what I mean?
That's right,
It would get
that's right.
really bad, but that would really knock away all the gains that I'd had for that
the whole
week. For the
week.
whole
That
week.
is,
Absolutely.
the weekend is
Absolutely.
a killer.
It's a killer. So that's why I believe if you really have some of those, it's not really a cheat food, but if you enjoy yourself on a regular basis by knowing how much fuel your body requires and then having some of those special items each day, you won't get to that point to where you're like, a drug addict
Panicked.
exactly
Panicked.
right. Exactly right.
I also advise people when it comes to that BMR number, take
Yeah.
the number you think you want to be. Think you want to be 135 pounds, 200 pounds.
Put that in there.
You put
That's
that
on the
in there.
website.
You put
Just
that in
exactly
there.
right.
And if you can eat like that,
That's
that
right.
can be your goal. But
Absolutely.
if you do a day and it's
Yeah.
the worst day of your life, maybe we need to
Absolutely.
adjust our goal.
And here's the thing, the way that you can probably eat like that is by using this fluid, filler, and feast because
love
you're
it.
going to have some of those filler items
It's
which are going to be
simple,
lower
too.
in calories.
You can't get
Absolutely.
when you say eight meals a day and
No,
this
no,
percentage
see,
and that percentage. People are like, this is like math.
And
I
the
can't take
reason
it.
that that's confusing, eat 8 times a day, but I have a job, I have children, I've got to get them
Right,
off to
right.
activities. Really, do I have to spend that much time figuring out my
Thinking about food all the time?
No, that's not going to work. And the other thing that we include, of course, great snacks.
Okay, so these are some of
Tons
your
tons
snacks.
stuff. These are some of my snacks, and so on a regular basis, you can obviously carry apple. And I hear people, well, I don't like apples. There are like 93 varieties of apples.
You're gonna find one
You're
you like.
gonna find one you like. Exactly. These are just great, of course, having strawberry, blueberries, any types of fruit. These are where your snacks come in. All right.
Well, and if you're eating healthily, more healthily,
Yeah.
an apple is like your carb-gasm.
It
I mean,
is,
it really
absolutely.
becomes something that this is the best
Yes,
apple ever.
exactly, exactly.
And I mean, you can see it on the show too,
no, you're
where all
right.
of a sudden, apple.
Exactly.
Thrilled.
And what happens is as you begin to change by modifying your diet and not overloading with sugars and carbohydrates, you'll find the natural flavors, the natural sweetnesses in food, they just naturally come out. And so for me, a pink lady apple or a Fuji apple, that the flavor in that,
does it.
the natural sugar is
What's your
amazing.
biggest challenge now? You've been doing this.
Yeah.
You got to let people know it's every day still a decision,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Well, my biggest challenge is again, when I was at my largest, I really struggled with the food addiction. And so that food addiction came about, again, as I mentioned, from the way that I was raised. So I still have to deal with that. But even better is to have a plan of how to deal with it. I relate it to, say, for instance, being an alcoholic. If an alcoholic goes through a recovery, he's told stay away from bars, etc. Well, I can't stay away from
have to
food.
eat. You
Right.
have to
And
eat.
so you have to have not just tips. I say tips are for kids, but you have to have a strategy for eating that will allow you to eat in every environment. And
Okay,
this is it.
and that is a good plan. I want to
Yes.
make sure everyone knows the book name again. We're going to
Yeah.
show that again. Lose It Fast, Lose It Forever. And your website is easy because it's PeteThomas.com.
.com.
And if you are looking for someone to talk to your employees, this is your guy because he has been there and done it, and you're so motivating.
Thank you.
And so
Thank you.
positive. And we said that mean face that you've got on the before picture, I can't imagine you ever looking that mean, but you said you're just
No.
mad about not being able to eat for a couple weeks.
They hadn't fed me about 24 hours, and that was the very first day on the ranch. So I was definitely
love it, but look at the transformation. Anybody can do it, but
Absolutely.
it's up here?
It starts up here, and then you have to have a strategy, not just tips. I hate the whole tips are for kids, don't eat
Yeah,
late
yeah.
at night. I don't like that. We have to have a strategy that's going to work in every environment.
And you're a busy guy. It's not
Yes.
like, you know, it's you
Absolutely.
you fit it into the daily life every
Absolutely.
day. What's your exercise? We're running low on time, but I
Yep.
just wonder what your exercise philosophy is.
I always have a heart rate monitor wherever I've gone. I've been in 3 different states in this week, and so, but always I carry my heart rate monitor on the plane with me, and the harder, the faster, the better.
Okay,
I'll
so you
summarize
get
it
that heart
Get that
going.
heart rate elevated. That's the only true measure to know that you're working out really hard and get it over with. But really, work out, hit it hard, and then be done.
Go with your day after
Go with
that.
the rest of your day.
All right,
Exactly
thank
right.
you so much,
Thank you,
Pete. You're
Rebecca.
fantastic,
Thank you.
fantastic.
You're
We're so
great.
lucky. And when we come back, we're gonna make edamame. Can you say edamame?
No, edamame.
Edamame. When we come back, you did it.